So, little information that you need to know. You will need to know point slope form. The things that you'll need to have memorized. Point slope form was y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1. They give you a point and a slope. They call it point slope form. Okay. Once we use that, we will have to put it into slope-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b. Not for this one, but something else you'll need to know is a slope formula. And what's another group of words that we can say for slope? True. Rise over run. But that's not what I'm thinking right now. Still starts with R. Rate of change. Okay, so if I'm asking for the rate of change, that's usually the slope formula. Now, I will tell you, I don't take any posters or anything down from this room that things are going to stay up. Hint, hint. Okay. So keep that in mind in case you have to go take it in the library or something like that. I think we all stay in here anyway. So, parallel lines. What do we know about the slopes of parallel lines? They're equal. Parallel lines have equal slopes. Perpendicular lines. Slopes are opposites and well, the lines do intersect at 90-degree angles, but what about the slopes? You'll need to know the relationship about the slopes. Those are, again, with the lines, what's the relationship with the number that represents how steep it is? That's the slope, the number that represents how steep a line is. The two numbers will be opposites, but they'll also be reciprocals. Okay. Opposites and reciprocals. So they give us passes through 4, 2. And they want it perpendicular to y equals negative 2x plus 3. So passes through 4, 2, perpendicular to y equals negative 2x plus 3. So here, where you're going to start, what is the slope of this line? 2. Now you're making me nervous. Which one's the slope in slope-intercept form? The n. So what's the slope? Negative 2. Okay. And as the negative 2, the y-intercept is a 3. So if we want it perpendicular, what m will we use? What is perpendiculars or opposites and reciprocals? So what's the opposite of negative 2? 2. And what's the reciprocal of 2? 1 over 2. This is negative 2 over 1, so the opposite and reciprocal would be positive 1 over 2. Now we give us a point, that is x1, y1. So we have a point and a slope. The one, slope-intercept forms up here, you will have to remember point-slope form. Okay, that's the final answer. That's what we're going to get into when we're done. So point-slope form, the y stays a y, so y equals m, so 1/2 x minus 4 plus 2. So the first y and the first x, remember, stay y and x. The second x and second y become the numbers, the points that you have. Distribute and simplify, and you're there. So what's 1/2 times x? 1/2 x. 1/2 times negative 4. Negative 2 plus 2 at the end. I don't take the 1/2 times the last 2 because the 2 is outside the parenthesis. So is that going to be minus 4 or minus 0? 0, so do I have to write the minus 0? So if they're asking for a parallel, so if I do the same thing but it says parallel to, what slope would I use in my formula down here? Let me scoot that down. So if this said parallel, I would use negative 2 here instead of 1/2. And then I do the same thing. The answer would be a little bit different, but it's going to be parallel. Okay? So there on page 87, there's some more examples that you can work through. There's some examples, 85, 86 as well. What else? I'm going to have to let you do the examples, and if you have questions on if you got something right or not, please ask, but I just want to make sure we get through all the questions that we have. So.
This one, chapter 2, evaluate and interpret the intercepts of a given word problem.
Okay. So evaluate and interpret the intercepts of a given word problem. If you have your chapter 2 test, some of that will be good to look over. So let's say you got a line here. Okay. Pretty quick, crude little graph that we got there. Oh, I did some recalculation based off our total points that we've had from the semester. The final is only worth 550. So you can breathe a little bit easier, not 1,500, 550. Okay. So that would put it right at, supposed to be 10% of your final grade. I'll put it right at 10% of the total points that we've had for the semester. So it does have a little bit more effect on the second 9 weeks, but I take the total semester points that we've had for this. Your average tests are worth anywhere from 600 to 800. So So a little less than a test, yeah. Okay. But it requires us to go back and review some stuff from earlier. You do have your hall passes. Hopefully, bring those next week to turn in for extra credit. And hopefully you still have those.
Yeah.
And there are some extra credit questions on the final as well. So you'll get those on the second day. You won't be in there on the first day. Did you have questions or? Okay. Okay. State and interpret the intercepts. State and interpret the intercepts. So the intercepts are where it crosses the axes. That's what the axes are, and you use the labels to help you with that. So if I look at along the bottom, at what number does the graph cross this axis, this horizontal axis? 10, and it's 10 minutes. So if I have volume, and it's in gallons, and it's 10 minutes, what's the volume? How many gallons are there in this tank at 10 minutes? 0. So instead of saying this is X, what label might I use here? Time. So our T-intercept is 10 minutes to drain the tank. So our T-intercept, because time is along the x-axis, is that it's taking 10 minutes to drain the tank. So now our vertical one, what label would I use here? Gallons or V, volume. So what's my V-intercept? Okay, see how it crosses right up here at 500? Now if it doesn't cross right at a specific point, you just have to estimate where it's at. Okay, you can do that. So V-intercept, 500 gallons is what the tank holds. Because now, then our time is 0. So imagine you're draining a tank, got a stock tank. You're draining it, it holds 500 gallons, you pull the plug, time starts, after 10 minutes it's empty. Pretty good plug. So that's state and interpret the intercepts. What is the rate of change? Almost completely right. What's happening to the volume? Down. So negative 50 gallons per minute. So if you take 500 divided by 10, you take the V-intercept divided by the T-intercept, you put a negative on there because it's going down, negative 50 gallons per minute. What about a formula for this line? What's my y-intercept? On this 500.